Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of City DNA, Our Community Live. Today I have with me two brothers who had an important decision to make at the beginning of COVID-19 to either sink or swim. They chose to swim, and now they're revolutionizing the way you and I get things done in our house. And their company has even been compared to the Uber of the construction industry. I have with me today John and James Christensen from Bidmii.com. John and James, welcome to the call.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks so much for having us. Happy to be here.
And I understand that you are very busy, so I definitely appreciate your time. And our audience loves talking to businesses and seeing their success stories. And most of them have been success stories. Some of them have not been. And first of all, why don't you introduce yourselves to us? Give us a little bit of background. Who is James and who is John? And we'll start with John.
I'll start with me. So, my name's John Christensen. James and I grew up in Guelph. My professional career has been mainly in the restaurant, on the operations side, but also on the corporate side. My wife and I own the Firehouse Subs franchise in the South End. We're still very much involved with the restaurant business. But at the beginning of the pandemic, I needed to make a shift away from restaurant development because it looked like that was going to be shutting down for a while. I was in the midst of helping a Canadian full-serve restaurant brand enter the US market in Florida. And we were laying the groundwork for expansion into Korea as well when COVID hit. And obviously, COVID put the brakes on that pretty quickly. I had to find something else to do. And the idea for Bidmii and the people coming together was just really, really good timing. And I'm pretty pleased and fortunate with how it's worked out.
I'm going to jump back to something that you said in a second, but I want to hear from James what your background is and who is James?
Sure. So my background is quite unrelated to the construction industry or maybe even the business world, but I'm an orthotist by trade. We make custom orthotics, custom braces. I've got a clinic here in Guelph that I operate. And, in that industry, we study how the body moves and we manipulate it whenever there's a neuromuscular musculoskeletal disorder. And we try to improve things. And really it's about problem solving with the body. And when I started the clinic, that was a new set of problems to solve. And that's really what gets me going. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning, is just taking on these new challenges. And from coming into Bidmii, it's just about that again, but with a new topic. And so it's just about coming across these new challenges, figuring out a way to solve them, and then going about and doing it. And that's, like I said, that's really what gets me excited.
And James, you forgot to mention the name of your clinic. It's Guelph Orthotics in the South End.
Yeah. Go ahead, plug that. Yeah, Guelph.
Yeah.
Put it in the comments below. So just for our audience sake, who's the older brother?
That's me, not by much, a year and 12 days.
Pretty close in age.
Yeah.
You'll notice that he talks way more than I do.
Yeah. And I need to be told to shut up sometimes. This is, I can talk forever. So that might actually happen here. Andrew, if you ask a question and you find my answer is very long-winded, please feel free to just, cut me off and we'll move on.
We'll get there. You are up next anyways, because I want to go back to something you said. It sounds like you're the one that kind of we're put in a position where your business is kind of doesn't really exist or very impossible to do. Is that you the one that came up with this idea, or how did it actually?
Yeah, so primarily within the restaurant space, I was focused on franchising, design, construction, the basically the selling and the building of restaurants. And so that's where the design and construction background comes from. It's on the client side, getting restaurants built. And, if there's one thing that people know about the restaurant industry, it's universally very slim margins. And so the less money that you have to put in to actually build a restaurant, the faster the returns, that sort of thing, is big impact. Certainly the idea for, the construction process certainly had a lot to do with that. But what really sparked this was my friend Philip, who is our CTO. He's a chief technology officer for our company. This is early days in the pandemic, He was aware that I was looking for something to do. And he said, and he approached me and said, look, I'm the tech guy, I'm the computer guy, you're a business guy. Let's put our heads together and see what we can come up with. Meanwhile, I think James and I both very much wear the entrepreneurial hats. We are pretty consistently pitching each other on new business ideas. But this is one that really seemed to resonate and stick. And anybody who we were talking to about it just kept saying, wow, that's a really good idea, without too many drawbacks or potential pitfalls. And so we decided to put some time and energy into it to see where it would go. And it happened really quickly.
Is this something, excuse me, I'm going to interrupt you, because this mainly because I'm going to forget my thought here. So what you're saying is you're an entrepreneurial by background, you have a lot of ideas that get floated around. Was this an idea that was floated previously, or was it something completely new because of COVID-19?
That's a really good question. Before my wife and I had kids, when we had a lot more time on our hands, one of the ways that we tried to build equity and did build equity with a side hustle was we would renovate the house that we were living in, sell it, buy another house, and renovate that house as we lived in it, right? And so the idea of an easy way to renovate homes had probably been sort of that seed planted in our heads, for the last decade. But I mean, no one could have, there's no way I could have predicted at that point that this was how it was going to materialize.
Awesome. Thanks for that. So James, when you and John were meeting right after COVID-19 had hit, what was going through your mind? Take us into your mind at that particular time. Was it like, oh crap? Notice I didn't say it differently.
There was a lot of unknowns. And when it first initially hit, we at the clinic, we never had to shut down, although we did, like many other businesses. We were seen as an essential service all the way through. However, we still shut down for about 8 weeks, right at the initial peak, because we didn't have the proper PPE. If you remember back then, just to get your hands on a mask and some gloves was next to impossible, nor did I want to be trying to compete with hospitals for those materials. So I wanted to wait until, the market was sufficiently providing that. So we locked the doors. We still serve patients as on a needed basis for our most critical patients, but we shut the doors. And I would say the concern of losing the business never wore on me too much, although it was important that I stayed busy. Because if I was just sitting at home twiddling my thumbs, wondering if my business would ever open its doors again, I could go to a pretty dark place pretty quickly. And so staying busy was important. And all of a sudden I had a whole bunch of time on my hands. John saying, hey, I think we really got something here. We're going to push forward with this thing. What do you think? And I said, yeah, I can definitely lean into this. I'd love to get involved. Let's see where it takes us. And even when we did reopen our doors, things were a little slow. We didn't have people barging in because everyone was very hesitant for good reason. And so it was a nice mix. It kept me busy, kept my mind off the dark places, and kept me focused on something that was really positive. And I think for me, it was really important to have that bit of excitement, right? To have those little mini wins along the way where you can say, all right, we're doing something today, because otherwise you don't feel productive. You don't got to have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And that, for me, that was a big part of it.
Right. So you just had that, I think you said 8 weeks you were closed down. Yeah. Where all of a sudden you had some time and you could put some energy into something else.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because that's a pretty common theme from the people that I talk to, is all of a sudden they had time and they could do something either that they've dreamed about, or they had time and they had to figure something out because they needed to feed their family.
Yeah.
I find that very fascinating. John, can you, for the benefit of our audience, tell us actually what Bidmii is? I mean, I've made some assumptions that some people know already because it is a pretty big thing already. Tell us what it is.
So it's an online marketplace platform. And those words, if you're not in the tech space, maybe you don't know what that is. But essentially, we've created a marketplace where homeowners are able to accomplish their home improvement projects in a very streamlined, automated fashion. So the simplest way to explain what we do is to actually walk you through it. A homeowner can create a project, something that they want to get accomplished in their house, whether it's paint my living room or renovate my washroom or build my deck. You create a project by giving your project a title, a description of what it is that you want to have accomplished, and then you take a few photos. And the process that we built out walks you through the individual steps. And at the end, you've got this project that's been created. The system then automatically pings every contractor in that serves your area where your house is and says, hey, contractor, here's a project that fits your skill set. Come check it out. And the contractor can open up your project, see your photos, see your description. And if that's a project that they want to take on, they can provide a competitive bid on that project. Materials, labor, all included, fixed price. Here's how much it's going to cost if you want me, the contractor, to do this project. Now, the average project on our site gets, I think we're close to 5 bids per project right now. So it is a competitive bidding scenario. What's great from the homeowner perspective is that not only do you see these competitive bids come in, so you know you're getting a fair price because you can see the range, but you can also go in and see the contractor's profiles. So when you click on one of those bids, you can see who that contractor is, but more importantly, the past projects that they've completed on the system, complete with before and after photos and the ratings and reviews that have been left by those homeowners. A lot of people have described our rating and review system as similar to that of Airbnbs when you're looking at a house you want to rent. When you find a contractor that you like and you think they're qualified and everything else, you can approve their quote, at which point you are prompted to make the payment for that project upfront and in full. And the platform takes that payment and holds it in a trust account until that project is completed, at which point that money is released to the contractor. It hits the contractor's bank account within 48 hours of that project being completed. And so, what this system does is it protects the money on both sides of the equation. So homeowners no longer have to be worried about a contractor collecting a deposit and never showing up again. And contractors don't have to be worried about chasing money once a project's been completed. And, because the system handles the money aspect of this equation, what we've found is that the people who want to take advantage of others on both sides sort of self-select out of our platform. And we're left with a really, really good group of people who want to improve houses at reasonable prices with the knowledge that the rating and review system is there. And, that's basically how it works. But what it's really become is a pretty awesome community. And it's something we're really, really proud of.
Yeah, it's interesting because as a real estate agent, I could see this being a need for clients, myself, property managers. There's a whole list of areas of my life where this is perfect for me. Because, I do have a set of people that I call to do certain things, electrician, plumber, things like that, but they're not always available when I need them in the time frame that I need them. So this sounds like a very good system for a person like me.
Well, and when you're creating a project, you can say exactly when you need it done by. So when a contractor is looking at it, they can say, okay, if I can't get it done by this date, okay, I won't bother bidding this one. Or they can provide a bid and say, listen, I can't hit your timelines, but here's when I can get it done by. And that way you're getting a full perspective on here's who's available right now. And if no one's available right now, here's when we can schedule it for, which is pretty cool. To your point on being a realtor and using the platform, we created this platform for homeowners, but very quickly we discovered that realtors and landlords and property management folks became our power users. And these are the people who are posting sort of project after project after project because they're in need of this, right? And you're right, your most trusted guy might be busy. So this is a pretty good alternative.
One of my favorite use cases for a realtor side is where we've seen certainly we expected, one of the things we anticipated was helping get homes ready to be sold. And obviously there's, painting and flooring and things that need to happen to spruce up a house to get it sold. And we thought that was going to be one of the areas that we would definitely get involved in. And but one of the kind of surprise use cases that we didn't anticipate but absolutely love is the ability for someone who has bought a new house, has not gained possession yet, but can actually use the listings, measurements, and photos to create projects for stuff that they want to get done. And so they already have the quotes approved. They've got their contractors selected before they've even got possession of their house. So day one possession, they are going in and making those changes. It means they get to move into their house faster. If it's a bigger renovation, it means lower holding costs to have either two places or to be renting a second place while you fix up the new place. That was something that we didn't anticipate, but absolutely loved how the homeowners or the new home buyers jumped onto this and said, hey, we can really utilize this in our own way and take advantage of what you guys are offering.
Yeah, and it was actually very good timing, I think, with COVID-19, because it really took away the need to go to the property in person.
Yeah.
You could do everything virtually and select people. And on the other side of the equation, contractors don't have to travel across. I mean, I'll use an example of a property in Guelph that needs something done, but there's a contractor in Cambridge who would come in and, well, they could do it virtually and it saves them time. They don't have to drive a half hour here and a half hour there, and ultimately charge that back to the clients, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that contractors have told us, is that we've actually doubled the radius within which they're willing to work. And because they're only making one trip, they're making one trip to go in, complete the project, and they've completely removed the trips and and the headaches which is just wild. And that, again, that's like another nice little happy moment that we didn't anticipate when we first started building this. But I'll say this, like, Andrew, don't tell anybody, but we've quietly gone live in all of Ontario. We haven't officially announced it or put out a press release or anything like that. We just got, word. This thing was growing through word of mouth, and we got tired of telling people, in Toronto or Ottawa or wherever that we weren't live yet. We've quietly turned the on switch, and we completed our first projects in Toronto last week. And believe it or not, the contractor with the winning bid on those Toronto projects was from Guelph. And it was a really interesting experience for everyone involved. Number one, the homeowner in Toronto didn't expect to get such aggressive pricing. And number two, like, the contractor didn't expect his high quote to be accepted. So much so that we're seeing this happen, and we see the dialogue back and forth, and the homeowners going, hey, I love your profile, love the projects you've done. This looks awesome. Just want to make sure you've quoted it high enough, because I can see that you're in Guelph. I want to make sure that you've budgeted in travel time. And the contractors are going, yeah, I did. And it shows you this disparity between pricing in Toronto and Guelph, that thing is able to happen. But through this process, what we're seeing is the democratization of contracting and of pricing. And, for the guys who are hungry and willing to travel, this really opens up a huge geography for them to go in. And for the homeowner, it's giving you access to dozens of more contractors who wouldn't previously been able to quote your job.
Yeah, exactly. My mind it just goes wild. And just to kind of summarize it up, if I can, what my mind's doing. To me, this looks like it is a combination of Uber, Airbnb, Upworks, and like the rental quotes or something like that, or whatever other quotation companies that are out there. And what I find, I've used it now, I think 5 times, believe it or not. And I found that the things that I'll say from my own personal experience, that the prices that I'm getting are most often 20 to 40% cheaper than I thought they'd be.
Yeah.
I'm able to compare. So I didn't necessarily always choose the cheaper, but I can now go on, like you said earlier, I can check out the profiles, check out their ratings and what people have said about them, and make my decision there. And I got a job yesterday, and I chose the person because of their rating system, not necessarily because of their price. The price was okay, it was similar. Mm-hmm. So I found that very super useful, and I didn't have to leave my couch to do that. And I understand that the homeowners rate it as well. How
Yeah,
easy is
so
it?
at the end of, we want everybody to have this incentive to play nicely in the sandbox, right? And so at the end of every project, the homeowner is rating the contractor and the contractor is rating the homeowner. Andrew, I haven't checked out your rating, but maybe I'll do that when we're done here
Hope it's good.
see how the experience of the contractors has been. But yeah, no, it's one of the things that has really surprised a lot of the contractors on the platform is not the cheapest contractor who's winning the bids. It is the contractor with the better reputation.
Yeah.
And it's significant. Over 70% of the projects are going to the contractor with the best reputation. And contractors love that because they're able to compete based on their reputation and not on their marketing budget, right? There's a lot of platforms out there where the more you spend, the bigger your sign, the more, leads you get. But with Bidmii, it's the better job you do, the more jobs you get. And your price has flexibility to go up.
Because if you look at contractors, they are typically not business people that invest in marketing and getting their ratings. I mean, I have a hard enough time as a real estate agent to ask my clients to give me a review. But that's one thing that people, especially in the contracting industry, they look at the reviews, they look at the ratings. So this is a way for them to get ratings that is actually based on the work, and it's not falsified in any way.
Yeah, and that's the big piece of the feedback that we received is that the ratings that are out there online just can't be trusted. And it's because, it's the more you spend, the better ratings and reviews you get, right? Like there's a bunch of systems, I won't name any, but like that are, massively suspected of, hey, if a contractor is paying me $800 a month in marketing fees, why would I let a bad review go on their platform? But the truth is for our system, you can't get a review until you complete a project. And once you've completed a project, then you get a review. That's the only way you can get a review. You can't buy them, you can't remove them, you can't get anybody else who hasn't completed a project to post them. So it is the most transparent system out there for determining who is the best contractor to go with. And it doesn't cost the contractors anything to sign up and have an account.
Just
so
like job and
yeah.
Yep, you get some free ratings and excellent. So the last point I want to make, and then I have a couple other questions because we're getting short on time here. The observation that I made is if I was a contractor and I have a couple of jobs, I might finish my job early and then I have nothing to do. But this almost seems like it's an opportunity to fill in that time. Is that true?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And like we're hilariously, we've seen contractors who are currently at a Bidmii job and they're firing off quotes. Like this is like end of their current Bidmii job and they're firing off like a dozen quotes for their next jobs.
Fantastic.
And it's amazing.
And it's a real range of projects that homeowners are posting, right? We're getting some really big, very comprehensive renovations, where it is going to take a lot of planning, even just to come up with a quote. They got to look at the drawings. They got to go through each step of the process. And that's going to be a bigger sit in front of my computer, figure this out kind of quote. And then we also have our leaky sinks and plumbing backups that
hang my pictures.
Yeah. And here's a quote on the fly, and that's going to take me an hour. And absolutely, I can fill in my days while I wait for, while I wait for my materials to come in for my big job. Or maybe I'm working for someone else. I'm looking for a side hustle. I'm looking to pick up some jobs on the weekend, flip some toilets or even just haul away stuff.
And for those guys, like it is incredibly fast. Like we've had, we broke the record again a week and a half ago with the project was created, received multiple bids and was awarded in 10 minutes, like 10 minutes from project creation to awarding. And it was done a couple of days later and is perfect.
That is amazing. I'm a fan. I'll continue to use this in my personal life and my business life. You've got my vote. You have some other people or organizations that you've partnered with. Could you share some of those partnerships and what the future has for Bidmii?
Yeah, sure. So the first one is a really cool organization called Relinks. Relinks is it's kind of another marketplace, but It essentially acts as the central source of truth or the hub for documents when you are buying or selling a house. Real estate agents use Relinks, property appraisal folks use it, mortgage brokers use it. And it was I want to say it was June 14th, we became their exclusive home improvement partner of choice. So there's some nice discounts and perks that we've worked into that partnership on both sides, which is really, really nice. We're super pleased to be partnering with them. The other big one recently that was announced on June 1st is our partnership with Scott McGillivray and the McGillivray Group. We love Scott, another Guelph success story and the longest standing host of a show on HGTV. So, we love partnering with him. He's bringing a ton of exposure to our brand, and we're working on a bunch of new and exciting ways to collaborate with our and there's some really, really exciting stuff coming in the fall that I can't talk about yet, but we're
don't make a mistake, you already gave out one secret, so
so we absolutely big fans of Scott and his entire organization. And then we also, that is just about to be announced with an organization called Rent Panda. And Rent Panda connects landlords with potential tenants and helps them through that process. And with Rent Panda, we're actually going to be working on connective tissue in the tech world. It's called Open API, where tenants on the Rent Panda platform are going to be able to create projects or things that need repairing in the places that they're in. And then landlords are going to get the project, see the issue, see the competitive quotes, and be able to sign off on who it is that they want to go and fix it. Mm-hmm. So, again, streamlining, taking the headaches out of so much of this world.
That is amazing. I'm going to try and get part on this show as well.
Great guy, brother team. Great guys to work with.
There's a lot of brother teams or friends, and we had Lost Aviators on this week as well. Awesome. They also gave up a secret almost. Enough that I was able to figure out where it was.
Okay, perfect.
I won't say it because it was off air when we talked about that part. But yeah, is there any? So I understand also that you're in partnership with Guelph Real Estate Board. Is that correct?
Yep, absolutely. Great partners. They've been a huge help in promoting us. We've spent the last month and a half, 2 months figuring out the different marketing strategies. So you hear us on Magic 106 as well. We've got the summer home makeover contest currently running with them, which is
about that real quick.
Yeah, sure. So it's basically like log on to Bidmii, create a project, and you will be entered into a draw to win $3,000 for your first prize. Second prize is $1,500 in Bidmii credits that go towards whatever home improvement, home renovations that you want to do. I'll say it's been incredibly exciting for us to be able to put like a really decent prize forward for this. And yeah, needless to say, our user has exploded, and we're so happy with everyone who's joined the platform and has gotten the chance to experience it for the first time.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. James and John, I'll give you one last chance to share whatever you want to share with the audience.
Well, I would encourage you to come check us out. But if anybody from Thunder Bay is listening, watching, we're going to be there really soon. That's the place that we're launching in, and it's just around the corner. We can't wait.
And I'll add on, Andrew, given I'm sure you've got a few realtors watching the show. Of course, we can special onboarding for any of your realtor groups that want to chat and figure out how to make the most of it for their clients and for themselves.
Awesome. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I love your story. I love sharing the story, and super helpful. Call it an app for now. And I look forward to seeing where you guys go in the future. You've got some big plans, and when can I start investing in this thing?
That's that's another conversation. But we're currently closing our second round, nice. which is awesome. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, gentlemen, I'll let you get back to your busy days. Thank you again for being on the show. And we'll interview you in a while and hear some more great success stories.